have to talk about a fight that didn't happen. On
Oh,
Friday at the weigh-ins, Drakkar Klose and Jeremy Stephens were getting set to face off. They were supposed to fight in the co-main event on Saturday. They get pretty close. Now, Drakkar is wearing a mask. I've asked people if he said anything to Jeremy. They all said no, but they did get very close. And we know that Jeremy is a fiery fellow, to put it mildly. They get very close. Jeremy shoves him quite hard. Drakkar goes out of the frame, was actually wearing slides, gets like pushed out of the slides. And everyone's like, oh, wow, look at this intense face off / push. Okay, great. Can't wait for the fight. Come to find out, start of the broadcast, they announce that the fight is off, that Drakkar Klose has suffered an injury. This seemed a little bit strange to me. You know, we've heard about COVID issues at the last minute, but an injury, like what kind of injury? Was he training in the hotel room or something? Reach out to his team. His team tells me that he suffered a sprain of the cervical neck, and then which is essentially whiplash and a concussion. Now he starts to get a ton of heat for this. They show me the actual diagnosis. They send it to me. The actual diagnosis. His team sends it to me. A cervical sprain of the neck and a concussion based off of the push. Was throwing up Saturday morning, all this stuff. And I get it. I mean, you tell me. You're dehydrated. You're unsuspecting. You're standing face to face. You get pushed like that. That can mess you up, right? How do you feel about this whole situation? And do you think, as of right now, it's unresolved, but do you think there should be a punishment for pushing your opponent like this at the weigh-ins before a fight?
Ooh, that's a lot to digest there.
Yeah.
Right. First things first. I think the great champion Aljamain Sterling said it best. People don't understand the state in which you are after weigh-in. You're dehydrated. Your brain is in a fog. You can't really like see and respond in the way that you normally respond. When you cut all that weight, as you drink the fluids to recover, the fluids to rehydrate, your brain starts to get more clarity to it. And I do believe that when he got pushed in that way, it can jar you and jar you in a way that normally wouldn't happen. I've seen guys on wrestling matches, whenever you weigh in an hour before the match, where they just don't seem like themselves because they've cut so much weight. I believe him. I believe Drakkar Klose was hurt in that exchange. Sucks that it happened because it was set to be a really fun fight. But I don't believe people should be jumping down his kid's throat because he wasn't able to fight. I believe he made a smart decision because, you know, that's why when there's car accidents, people kind of go, they whip like that and the neck's messed up, the brain's messed up. You can't, and he got pushed hard, man. You saw his whole body kind of go back as he got pushed. So I believe the kid. But I know I don't want to see Jeremy Stephens fine because it's fighting and it's an intense situation. You start putting fines on stuff like that. I mean, you don't want these guys like, you don't want them like caged, right? Like trying to keep themselves under control. Like no matter what you feel about a guy, you know, I've been in situations where I've had to deal with stuff like that before. We've shoved each other and everything. So,
but by the way, that was 2 months before you were supposed to fight. I know that fight didn't happen in September, you and Jones and stuff, but we're talking about the day before, like 24 hours before, and you're in that state that you're speaking of.
Oh, for sure. I still don't want
nothing, that. No punishment whatsoever.
I mean, you just get a little talking to, man, because reality is when guys are in each other's face and they're jawing and maybe there is a shove, that's when you get excited as a fan. So we don't want to start, you know, I don't know, man. It's hard because I don't want to start to like just make the sport like two, you know, we're pit bulls, right? We're right. Pit bulls. Two pit bulls get next to each other. You want to get after that other pit bull. I don't want you being held up by your chain as you get walked out to the weigh-ins, right? I don't want that for my sport. I don't want that for mixed martial arts. I want guys in there like ready to kind of at each other.
Okay, so can I just add this? I agree with everything you said to a degree. Then the notion that Drakkar Klose went through an entire training camp, went through a weight cut, and then decided I'm not going to fight is absolutely absurd. Like people are getting on this young man for that is absolutely absurd. By the way, as of right this moment, he doesn't know, I'm told, from his team. He doesn't know if he's getting his win or even his show, which I think is unfair. He should at least get the show. I think he should get the win as well.
He made the weight, so you should get his show money, right?
And it was not his fault. He just
if you make the weight, you usually get you showed up.
A lot of fighters were weighing in on this. Pardon the pun, on Saturday. Cub Swanson, one of them, he responded to my thread and said that, I asked him what he thought the penalty should be. He said a suspension after the fight, similar to a PED punishment. Apparently you think that's too harsh. If you can't make the walk, there has to be some kind of repercussion. Let me ask you this, because you were in this same situation. Be honest now, mentally, because it was Sean Shelby there. It wasn't Dana White, like usual. Do guys feel a little more comfortable doing stuff like that when the boss isn't there? In your situation, it feels historically that guys act up when the boss isn't there. And
I think a lot of guys are a little bit more cautious, but with certain guys, it don't matter. Like, because we'll just ask him, I'm just like, let me get in his face. Let me get in his, because he's always trying to like this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me get in his face. But then when he got away from me and Jones that first time, he had to run his ass back. He had to run back onto the stage because we got to join each other again. We probably would have started fighting. So
which first time?
At the press conference when me and Jones were standing there before the first fight, Dana for some reason walked.
That wasn't Dana. That was Dave Schaller.
No, at that press conference, me and Jones got in a fight. But when Dana squared us off at the press conference the week of the fight, he walked off stage, and then Jones and I went right back face to face, and he had to run back in there. We'd probably started fighting again. So, I think that yes, at a point people are a little bit more better behaved, but I don't think thoroughly it matters when it's that bad blood. If you think that Habib and Conor wouldn't have fought because Dana was up there, you're crazy. Or Nate Diaz and those guys, they would have fought. They would have went at each other, if they weren't just holding them back.
Yeah, that's just a theory. Obviously, the bigger issue is the guy got hurt before a fight. I hope he feels better. That's scary stuff. A concussion based off a push. I just hate to see people questioning him and him feeling like he has to send, or his team has to send, the actual diagnosis from the hospital. To me, is crazy, and I hope he gets paid really at the very least. The show.
These fighters they all have to do that, right? They're all defending their honor.
It's crazy.
The people that don't even really they won't step in there and do what these guys do. It's crazy.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.